Let's talk about the Spartans, who, quite frankly, folks, yes, I'm a Michigan State person here. Yes, I host Unscripted with the Field of 68. We don't talk enough about the Spartans on the Field of 68 after dark. I don't know that I've even seen a Michigan State segment this year. So what better time than today, as the first place in the Big Ten, Michigan State Spartans got a big road win, a come-from-behind road win against a sneaky good Northwestern team, 3-0 in Big Ten play. I think there's a little bit, if I want to be completely honest, because, again, I got to be objective here, there's a little bit of that UNC bully syndrome with Michigan State. They're 0-2 in their big games this year, both against top 5 opponents, Baylor and Kansas. I would argue both of those games were competitive for a half, and then they weren't in the second half. Now, I don't think there's many teams in the country who can play 40 minutes of competitive basketball with Baylor and Kansas. And Michigan State's taken care of business everywhere else. They've been tested with UConn, Loyola Chicago, now 3-0 in the Big Ten. Fellas, let's go to you first, Coach. Are you buying Michigan State as a true contender in the Big Ten this season?
Yeah, I'm buying Michigan State for sure. I'm always buying a Tom Izzo team just because of what he's about, what he stands for, how they compete. Obviously aggressive in transition. They're going to compete on the glass. They went in the halftime down, I think 7, on the road. And this is a big game for Northwestern. They had a tough loss to Providence in the Garden or in the Barclays Center up there in early in the preseason. And they lost a close game at Wake. They probably should have let one slip away. And so it's a great opportunity for Northwestern to get to 2-0 in the league. And Michigan State put their hard hats on in the second half and really dominated the second half and finished the game out. But, man, they're old. They've got 5 of their top 6 guys are juniors and seniors. They know how to win. They play 9 guys, extended minutes, 10-plus minutes. We talked a couple weeks ago about, Purdue or the field. The reason it's hard not to take the field is because Michigan State's sitting out there. Illinois is sitting out there, teams that are really starting to gear up and play well. And, obviously losing to Baylor and Kansas, that's nothing to feel bad about. You learn from those games, you get better. And, that's what Izzo teams are always going to do. And I'm buying them. They've got a great stretch here. Their next 3 out of 4 are home games where they probably feel confident. If you are a betting man or just making picks, you're going to take them. And then they got a big road test at Michigan that they need to try to take care of business and get that one.
I'm all for it until you start talking to me about Purdue playing them. Because I feel like what Michigan State's really, really good at is what Purdue can overwhelm them at. And that's on the boards with their size. That's with Jaden Ivey, who's going to out-athlete them. I will say this, though. We were at the beginning of the year and went to the Champions Classic. And it was going to take Michigan State some time. Tyson Walker needed to adjust. A.J. Hogard needed to adjust. Both of those guys now have a 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. They've been really good for them. And then on top of that, Max Christie, he needed to figure out this college game. When we talked to Max, he's going to talk about it a little bit here later on. But he needed to figure out the college game. Look, losing to Baylor, losing to Kansas, nobody's going to fault you there. They've taken care of business against teams they've needed to take care of business on. I think they're mentally tough. I love Hall. Gabe Brown, I thought was going to be an explosive. I thought he was going to have a big year for them this year because I thought he shot it really well and he had good length and he just kind of did all the right stuff without really having a big scoring year. He's averaging double figures now. Like, this is a team that can, or close. What is he averaging? You should know this, Greg.
Oh, boy, off the top of my head. I bet he's averaging 12.
So he's averaging double figures. Like, it's a bunch of guys. I probably should have that.
14.2. Even better.
Yeah, I should have that in front of me. Unprofessional. If I'm going to start bringing up stats, I better have it ready to go, Coach. You know what I'm saying? But I like their team. I like their pieces. I like Marcus Bingham Jr. I think he's a guy that has been, if potential turns into production, watch out. And he has played well. He's a rangy defender. I think he does a nice job, and he provides a little bit of inside-out stuff for him. I like the team. I like the makeup. I just worry when they play Purdue. I love Purdue.
Yeah, and this is the type of team going back all of Tom Izzo's career, quite frankly, that when he has a team that's maybe a little slept on relative to some of his better teams in the preseason, he typically outperforms expectations every single time. Mm-hmm. And I think you're seeing that with this group. To me, this is one of the groups that is so clearly a bigger sum of the individual parts, because here's my thing. Even as someone who wants to talk and watch Michigan State basketball, my thing with this team is, do they have a true alpha? And I think Gabe Brown has become that. He's their leading scorer. He's hunting shots. He's putting up 7, 8 threes a game, and he can just rise and shoot over anybody on the wing. I think Max Christie has the potential to become that. And like you said, Tio, he's getting a lot more comfortable. But this team still has too many times where their key guys are very off. Like Malik Hall, I swear, his basketball performance on the court is bipolar. He's either their best player or he's a total non-factor. Tyson Walker tonight had 0 points, 0 for 5 from the field, I think 1 assist. It's just really tough to win with. Now, the thing that's helped them so far is that they have enough depth and enough guys that even when their 2 or 3 key guys are playing poorly, they've been able to survive and sustain that. And that's what happened in the second half. Now, I got to ask you, Coach, is that a blessing in disguise, or is that something that's going to come back to bite them, that they don't truly have like a clear-cut NBA guy who can go get them a bucket in March?
The one thing I look at, and we were joking, Terrence was joking about not having the numbers in front of him. I went down, know we were going to talk about Michigan State and just look at their, points production. They've got 7 guys that is averaging more than 7 points a game, 4 that's almost double figures. And so if you've ever coached a team, when I was an assistant, I think 2009, 10, we had a really good team, Murray State. We had 6 guys average 10 points or more. And, we ended up winning a game in NCAA tournament, lost to Butler in a really good game to go to the Sweet 16. But it's very hard to take away your best player because you have so many other options of guys that can step up. And like you're touching on, Walker didn't play well, or, maybe Christie didn't play well, just throwing different guys' names out there. You have 3, 4, 5 other guys, even Akins. I've cited Michigan State play, and we were texting about him off air a little bit. He'll make some tough plays for him and bring some juice for the team. And so I think, I think it helps you. I think it helps you because they're more diverse. It's tougher to scout. It's tougher to prepare for because their depth is really good.
Hey, what about at the end of games, Coach? I got to ask you this. You've had some really, really good players that you've coached over the years. Like, would you rather have 4 or 5 guys that could potentially get you, or would you rather have the dude?
Well, you like to have the dude. When you have the 4 or 5, they're all, some are like, man, if that one guy doesn't make it, the other guys maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
So when you call it for them, you better hope they make it. And so, but I think if you've been around the good teams that understand, selfless basketball, the right way to play, they understand, that why you went to that person in that certain moment. But it is good to have a guy, obviously both inside, outside. If you can say, hey, we need something outside, or we need something inside, or we need a paint touch, somebody get to the free throw line, something we know we're going to get a surefire opportunity here. It's no question good to have that and be able to throw that ball to that person. But I do like Michigan State's, I do like their depth. I do like their toughness. And like you said, I think when you doubt Tom Izzo, I think that's just when he's at his best. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer for a reason.
So Tio and I had a chance to sit down and talk with the guy who I think could be the dude for Michigan State as we get into March. That would be Max Christie. He's a great interview. I wasn't expecting that. I got to be honest. I've seen him on the court. I really hadn't seen him in front of a microphone. He's just as good there. Let's get to our interview with Max Christie.